attention here, please. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone here. We have a small addition to the agenda, and we'll put that under section 12A. That's pertaining to a declassification motion pertaining to waste collection. So we'll have that in there. Move. Do we have a seconder for that amended agenda? Thank you. Councillor Propp, Councillor Smith, moving and seconding the amended motion. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Adoption of the minutes of the public hearing held August 27th. Councillor Dybel moving, Councillor Erickson seconding. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you. Item B, regular meeting of council minutes for the August 27th meeting. Adoption. Okay, motion to adopt. Councillor Smith, seconder, Councillor Stewart. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you. Accurate minutes once again. This is excellent. Item 7A, staff report from our Director of Corporate Services pertaining to the deadline for submission of cannabis survey. Mr. Forlowski, if you can report on that.
Sure. Thank you, Your Worship. First bit of news, I'm not Donna Bellingham. I know you're good looking. So, however, she's away, so I will give the report. Back on August 27th, during Committee of the Whole, Council did consider surveys from other communities, reference cannabis and the retail sale of recreational cannabis, and then directed us at the following committee or council meeting to conduct a survey and report back to council no later than the end of September, which would have been September 24th, which is today. Immediately following that meeting, on the 27th, staff went about undertaking all the practicalities of doing the poll, and it was found that we couldn't do it really to any satisfactory level. So on the 29th, we conducted a phone poll of members of council to see if we could push it back into October, and council did so approve on the phone poll. So it will be presented the first council meeting in October. And just to let you know, as of writing of this report, which is dated September 19th, there were 280 completed surveys, and we keep getting them back every day. And they will be tallied on Sunday, September the 30th, with us finalizing the details for council on October 1st and 2nd. And budgetary implications for those that are interested, $502 for Canada Post, the local printer $1,000, and staff time. We haven't calculated that in detail. So the recommendation is, Your Worship and Council, that the report dated September 19th, 2018, detailing the telephone poll of council regarding the results of the cannabis survey be received, i.e. the news that it will be delayed.
Thank you very much. Motion to that effect, please. Councillor Stewart moving. Seconder, Councillor Erickson. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carries. And thank you to staff for doing that. I know it's a big hassle to actually document all the different responses, because a lot of people have, it's not a yes or no thing. There'll be lots of comments that we'll be wading through, but it's good, no? And we have Mayor and Councillor reports. Have a reasonably lengthy one, which I'll try to shorten down here. As I think the community is well aware, the council went to the UBCM annual convention, and we had a number of, I think, important meetings there that are worth a note. We met with a Minister of Transport and Highways. We talked about the Othello Road corridor, the necessity to upgrade the road there. We're hoping for a letter of support direct from the Minister for future grant applications, because it is a multi-million-dollar project, and it's certainly something that we need grant help for. So she seemed to be supportive of that. Of course, she made it very clear that since it's not a highways jurisdiction road, that there would be no money forthcoming from her directly. So that was obviously something we expected. The other thing we brought up, and I think there wasn't a lot of sugarcoating, it was pertaining to the disappointment that council experienced and the community experienced pertaining to the Station House project, the fee simple transfer of the lands that did not take place. we were very clear about the fact we're officially in the cranky category, and that if they do not negotiate out a suitable settlement, that litigation is certainly an option that we're ready for. So, and they're very exposed here because, of course, they had legally binding agreements that they signed. So I think there was no confusion there as to how serious we were about that, and serious we are about that. We talked to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, spoke about the need for help from the province and the feds pertaining to flood protection, the Coquihalla River Corridor, and also the Fraser River Corridor. Mr. Fortolowski provided a lot of excellent technical details to make up a very good presentation, so that was much appreciated. When Council attended the government reception, fortunately I was, Councillor Stone and I were standing next to each other, and coincidentally, Premier Horgan was there. So I gave him a very respectful blast about the Station House project, and the fact that we need this settled sooner than later, and if not, it's going to get awkward for the province. So he took that and he said, I'll be monitoring what happens through the Minister of Transportation, and so I think it was a useful dialogue. On to another topic, Brigade Days. Compliments to everyone and anyone involved in Brigade Days. I think it went very well. 50th anniversary, lots of neat events, and obviously the Brigade Days group, I think, is fairly small, under 15 people, but there were lots of service clubs that participated as well in making it a great event, and I certainly appreciated attending. I think a number of us went to the Nestle open house, and that was good. I didn't do the plant tour this time because I've done that a couple of times, and the plant hasn't changed at all. So I went and visited with friends from town, and had some free goodies under the tent there. They always have some nice, not necessarily health food, but that was okay. And then attended the Corn Festival, the Fall Fair in Agassiz, on behalf of the community, and spoke at the opening there. And actually told a story of how when I was a kid, that was the sort of the highlight of the year, because actually I grew up in Agassiz for 4 years, so before I moved to Hope. So my earliest memories are actually of the Corn Festival. I don't know what that means, but it was, it's kind of neat to share that. And then the food drive that took place in our community, I think a little over 5,400 pounds of food was brought in, which is excellent. And then Acacia from the Hope Community Services invited me to celebrate Literacy Week with her. So I went to Hope Community Services, did that. Community Garden had its official opening there, and a number of you, I think Councillor Croft and Councillor Stewart were both there. Appreciate that. And I'd like to acknowledge the Community Garden Group and all of the sponsors. At the opening, the Community Garden Group specifically acknowledged the organizations and individuals who went the extra mile to make it work. I'd like to acknowledge as well the school board for providing some of the land. It's a nice joint venture between the district, the school board to provide the land, and then of course the many people that helped out there, and then of course I'd like to acknowledge staff for making sure that from a district point of view everything went as smooth as possible. I made a little faux pas there. I assumed that the Morrison family donated the Dr. Morrison Park, but I believe the Morrison Park was municipal property that was named in recognition of the work of Dr. Morrison. So, so just to clarify the record, we did, as a matter of respectful courtesy, we did check with Fran Morrison though, to make sure that she was okay with that park being used for the community garden, because obviously, you know, it was to honor the memory of her husband. So, and she was a thumbs up on that. So. We wanted to make sure that that was being respectful. And also, it was kind of neat there, Faye and Bob Burrell, who passed on a short time ago, as everyone knows, there were a couple of trees planted in their honor, which was quite nice, and so that was good. Community garden done. I went to a session, an event that I was invited to speak at in town here at the Legion, and that was a gentleman who is spreading awareness about mental health issues, and he started a group called We Have Names Too, and they actually have a website, wehavenames2.org, and Todd was there as well from Fraser Health, and there were a number of locals. It was, I think, the first kick at a meeting, so it was a smaller attendance, but it was impactful for the folks that were there, and it was talking about mental health awareness and the need for people to recognize the challenge of people with mental health challenges. And the gentleman who organized it, he identified himself as bipolar and a person that's worked hard to deal with mental health challenges. He shared his story about how his brother actually committed suicide when he was young and how that rocked the family and all that. So it was actually quite a moving presentation. A special congratulations to the Lions Club. They had their 75th anniversary dinner, so that was very good, and I felt bad for not stopping by, but we were at the UBCM conference at the same time. So fortunately, Councillor Medlock zipped out there and left the conference early and covered the Lions meeting. And actually, you had a very good suggestion there, Councillor Medlock. We should, since we, as a district, gave the Lions Club a 50th anniversary plaque, maybe we can up the game and give them one for their 75th as well. So maybe we could put that in motion form. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Crott?
Yep.
Councillor Smith, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, that was a hard sell. Okay, that was good. And then as well, the Silver Creek Playground Project. I'd like to compliment all the organizers and fundraisers there. It was well attended. Unfortunately, I was able to only attend after lunch, so I hauled cement for a couple hours, but Councillor Stewin was there. You looked quite wet, so I'm assuming yeah, but the spirits were not dampened. You still had a smile on your face, and I'd like to compliment the anyone involved in that. There's quite a lengthy list of parents. I think it's been ongoing for about 7 years, so it wasn't 80,000 that came overnight. I think it's roughly 80,000 for the whole project. Yeah, that they had to finish raising. So that was pretty good. And what's the total project cost there, Councillor Smith?
It was approximately, well, close to 126.
Yeah. But that's including the tennis court and okay, just the playground. That's impressive.
I have to check.
Yeah, so anyways, and then obviously council supported that project and monetary support, so there were a few people that were very appreciative of that at the get together. And there's some very exciting news that Councillor Dybel is going to present pertaining to housing, so maybe I won't steal your thunder and I'll speak to it when
You can speak to it.
I'll speak to it. Yeah, emergency shelter housing, there's obviously a very obvious need in our community for proper and safe emergency shelter housing. So Councillor Dybel, with her other hat as the head of HATS, received funding and staff support to make that happen. So that's a really good thing. It's in a good location as well, easy to access and easy to maintain control of. And I think that's a real feather in the cap for Hope. And that's the first of many things to come, I'm sure, to help with our housing needs in the community. So thank you for all that. And I know Council has been consistently supportive of this project as well, and I personally spoke with the Minister about this. And so there's been a lot of people working on this to make it happen, and I appreciate the Council and staff and being supportive of this, because it's going to be a blessing to the community. So that is it for my long-winded mayor's presentation, and maybe we can start with Councillor Smith.
You touched on most of the stuff there. For mine, yeah, attended UBCM from the 10th to the 14th. Did it at police, took one in of the things was a police overview of the province, how policing's changed over the years, and then where the new focus is going to be. It's pretty neat seeing where policing was and how things have changed just in the last 10 years, and especially getting ready for the cannabis legalization too was a big thing for them. So touched on that. Another one of our quorums was homelessness issues throughout all the different cities throughout the province, and some are facing issues and some are dealing with some of the issues. Over the past weekend here, I was just in Nanaimo, and if we think we ever have a homelessness problem, go to Nanaimo. It was absolutely disgusting seeing how bad it was over there for them. I was just taken away how bad it was that night. going through all the streets and stuff like that. We parked in a no parking zone, actually went, the one lady was staying on the street and went and got her sandwich and soup and stuff like that the next morning for watching all of our stuff where we were parked. And yeah, it was just crazy seeing it over there. This 50th anniversary for Hope Brigade Days. I think obviously everybody's seen how well everybody did. There's some great groups as part of that, like Mayor Victor said. Hope Motorsports Group was a big group for helping out with the motorsports. Another good thing was, like I said, all those volunteers that were part of it. That was put on by less than 15 people. Then all the support groups after that. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. Same thing with Hope Motorsports Group. I believe they probably got about 5 members to help put all that on down in the sports bowl. So overall, unreal event that they put on. And I'm looking forward to elections.
Okay.
That's
And
all
you're back in?
That's all I have. Yeah, I had a change of heart over at UBCM and I'm excited.
We'll see if Hope supports recycling.
There you go.
See if they can
Big time
reuse
recycling too.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Diamond.
That's what I said to Councillor Smith, he drank the Kool-Aid. So just want to congratulate Brigade Days. I know that it's a huge effort to pull off such an event in this community, and we should be very honored and pleased, and when you see those folks on the street, thank them for all their hard work, because it's not just, you know, let's sit down and pull this off. It starts the day after Brigade Days, planning for the next year, so good on them. I want to wish well to all of the candidates who've put their name forward for election. It's not for the faint of heart to put your name into public office and to be, sometimes the accolades are few and far between. It's more the criticism and the, what you're not doing well in the community, so you have to have broad shoulders and thick skin, so I hope that folks recognize that in the community. But, you know, it's well worth the effort. Sitting here for 7 years, it's well worth the effort, being part of such a great community and seeing where Hope has come from to where it's going to, and all of the 7 people that sit here, I know, have Hope's best interests in mind when they make decisions and when they're out there as ambassadors of the community. So best of luck to all of you who have put your names forward, and to the new folks coming in, best of luck out there. And I will speak a little bit about the emergency shelter. So with my hat from HATS, Executive Director, I have been working with BC Housing for the past several months, I'm going to say since May, in enhancing our shelter beds. Right now we have 4 shelter beds in the community, which doesn't even touch the tip of the iceberg with regards to housing individuals. There is no 24/7 services for individuals who are homeless, and have worked with BC Housing along with support from our MLA and the District of Hope in getting a 20-bed emergency shelter, which will open up October 9th is our soft launch. There's some renovations that do need to occur in this facility to ensure that we can ensure that 20 beds are up and running, especially when the cold wet weather hits in November. But we are very excited about offering that. BC Housing purchased the home, and we will operate the facility, and as well they also purchased the neighboring properties next door. And I can't speak to what their plans are for that, other than what was in the press release, which did indicate that they were looking at supportive modular housing on those lots. But they will be speaking more to that in the coming months when they come to the community to talk about what their plans are. I think that it's great for the community. There will be 5 female beds, 15 male beds. One of them, of the 20 beds, one of them will be an accessible bed. And I just think that the community has been wanting, needing this, and it has finally come. So I appreciate all of the support of the district, of our local MLA, who had some discussions, as did Mayor Victor, with Minister Robinson from Ministry of Housing and Social Development, I think it is. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that Emily has done a little piece already for the paper. It's online. And I will be speaking more further in detail tomorrow at the Heart meeting at 8:30 at the Fraser Canyon Hospital, as this was one of the strategic directions. So I knew what was happening back in June, but I couldn't speak to it. So this is very exciting for the group to be working on this initiative. And I think that's all I've got to add for that time being. Other than what this has allowed for the community, is it's allowed for us to employ 12 individuals, additional staff, program manager, and with the potential of 2 more individuals, which I'm negotiating positions for in the shelter, because it will run 24/7 with 2 staff on at all times. So with drop-in facilities during the day, for gateway services to be accessed by individuals who maybe don't access the emergency shelter, but who are on the streets and needing somewhere to go. So they can come in and access a worker and get connected to whatever services need to be done. And there's so much more. It's so layered and complex. Fraser Health is involved. There's mental health, addiction services. There's just a lot of layers to it, which I don't want to, monopolize this, but certainly as things unfold, I will keep council apprised to it, the paper apprised to it, and as we move along as to what's happening. So, yeah.
Sounds very good, yeah, and thanks for all your good work there.
Thank you. And just want to say, 12 of those 11 staff are, 11 of the 12 staff are all from Hope. So we employed 11 people from this community, and we're not talking minimum wage jobs. We're talking good, solid employment. So.
Excellent. Councillor Stewart?
That's awesome. So you kind of acknowledged everywhere I was. So at the Silver Creek Playground, I just want to acknowledge Councillor Medlock, who's spent the night,
2 nights.
two nights.
Oh, camping trip.
He spent 2 nights watching over the equipment and the playground and stuff, and that was pretty cool.
It was
So,
fun.
that was awesome.
We didn't get to play on it.
Darn. I also attended UBCM, and while I was waiting for Councillor Erickson to do something, I don't know, but I was standing in front of a table, and apparently if you stand in front of a table at UBCM and listen to their new group health benefit plan, you get a free book. So this is UBCM through the first century. So I'll present that to the mayor.
We'll leave that in the office up top.
Yeah.
Didn't get me one?
It was only one, they were heavy. So, yes, thank you for the UBCM experience. And I did a lot on the affordable housing sessions. And I just want to say, Councillor Dybel, that it was really brought out how important it is to work with your local not-for-profit agencies and to work together. It's not a shame to sit here and say, this is what's going on in our community. And so thank you for being that voice here and sharing what the needs are of our community. There's no shame in that at all. Purple Lights. Purple Lights is coming. I have 2 posters for the District of Hope that you can put up. October 1st is the kickoff, and it'll be at 6 p.m. in Memorial Park. It should take about an hour. They will have a couple of speakers. There's going to be some popcorn, cotton candy, and a walk, the Peace Walk, which takes about 15 minutes. And so Purple Lights is about bringing an awareness to domestic violence. And when you show up for something like a Peace Walk, it just shows people who are in the middle of it or dealing with it or have been through it, that they have a support system. So if you can stop by the park on October 1st at 6 p.m., it would be wonderful to see everyone. Yeah. And then Wear Purple Day is October 17th. I also attended the Golden Agers meeting on September 18th, and we talked about some of their concerns and what they'd like to see for the community. And they would like to see potentially some more assisted living for seniors in our community, so that they can stay here. They don't have to leave town when they are not able to take care of themselves. So that would be something they would like. And on October 27th, they'll be having their fall tea. If anyone would like to attend, it's 11 to 2 on October 27th. They'll be selling raffle tickets. I think the 13th and 20th of October. And that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Stone, much appreciated. Councillor Minow, AKA security man.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, the Silver Creek Playground, I didn't get to help with the build. I had to work that day, but I did stop by throughout the day twice just to drop off some tools and whatnot. And there, I think Councillor Sullivan said there's about 50 volunteers there.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how quickly they got that thing put up. They were done that day. So I felt like I got to help out a little bit by camping out there and making sure that nobody stole the equipment beforehand, and then nobody played on it while the concrete was setting up the next day. So that was my part. Yeah, Brigade Days, you know, I was a big part of that with the motorsports group, and I thought overall the event was really good. I really wish I could have seen the parade that the District of Hope sponsored, but I was too busy getting things done in the sports bowl, but I heard it was really great. And yeah, the UBCM was sort of the biggest thing that's happened between council meetings here. I've been to 10 UBCMs now, and this is the first time I've ever done an agricultural tour, and it was really great. Councillor Erickson and I went, and we got to take a tour up in the Pemberton Valley of some fairly small scale farming operations with youth, young people that have started farming, mainly vegetables, but I was really impressed with their operations. They were farming on 2.5, 3 acres of land, and they were able to produce enough food to feed 150, 200 people or more throughout the year. And it made me think that Hope has that potential. We don't think about agriculture in Hope very often because there isn't much of it. But as an economic driver, I mean, these people, they made enough money to survive themselves. They hired staff. They supported their local economy and provided food for local individuals. So I was really impressed by that. So I got to have a conversation the next day with the Minister of Agriculture about Hope, and they do have some programs in place to help match people with available lands. So I think that's something that maybe we could look into in the future. And I also talked to the CAO of the ALC. Lots of acronyms in this world. And you know, we had a really good conversation about just that, youth getting involved in agriculture and what it can mean to a community and to a region. I also sat in on a session on bylaw enforcement programs, and they had some pretty good ideas as to how we might be able to support our bylaw enforcement program, and I think that's something that we're definitely going to look into in the future. And also a really good one about trail development, which I sat in on because we're doing that, and I wanted to see if we're on the right track, and we certainly are. So some of the communities they spoke or had as speakers, they were developing mountain biking trails, and they do that because then the trails are usable for mountain bikers, hikers, and equestrian. And excuse me, they were expressing how important it was, not as a tourism driver. They were staying away from the tourism aspect of it, but more as an economic driver for the community through resident attraction. And they talked about one example of a community up in northern BC where they didn't have a dentist for a long time, and they finally got a dentist, and then he moved. So when they were asking, well, why did he move? He said, he went to Burns Lake because they have trails. And that just spoke to exactly kind of why people choose to live where they do. There's opportunities all throughout the province, but they live where they want to live because of the assets and the amenities that are there. So it really made me feel like we're doing a lot of good things, especially with all the work that's happening through the Rural Dividend Fund that Advantage Hope got to take advantage of. So it was a really good session, and I learned a lot, and they talked about the cost of other recreational assets like pools and arenas and baseball fields, and how low cost overall trails are in comparison. Like I think we're talking 97 cents per user versus $150 per user for a hockey arena. And that's based on the cost of operating it and how many people can use it at a time and that sort of thing. So there's definitely good value for money there. And that's all I got to, oh, and cannabis, there's lots of sessions on cannabis. But we're ready for it, we're on the right track. I was talking to Councillor Kerry Jang from City of Vancouver. He was sort of chairing that session. And he said that what we've done so far with the prohibition in all zones until we get our regulations in place was absolutely the right way to go. That a lot of communities in BC have done that. And that the survey is also an excellent idea. So again, I feel like we've reinforced our decision that we're on the right track, and I'm happy that the survey results are coming in and lots of them. It's good.
Sounds good, thank you. Councillor Erickson.
Yeah, thank you. So, I went to a meeting of the Hope Princeton Highway Road Legacy sign unveiling regarding the Japanese internment at Sunshine Valley. Heather Stoon was also a Councillor Stoon was with me. And it was a really amazing, beautiful sign they put up at the bottom of Hope Slide on the little pull up there. Massive, beautiful sign of the historic, what went on in history. Got lots of different educational signs there, front and back on the sign of what actually took place. And then we went up and looked at, they had an actual Tashme museum opening where they actually built a model building of what people lived in, in the 40s when they were placed there by the Canadian government. It was half a day basically. It was really good. They put on, and we even had one person that was actually there, was a resident of the facility, and he had a little talk, and everybody cheered him on. It was really nice. Anyway, I was at Sunshine Valley. Then I attended the UBCM also, and like the rest of them, I went through quite a few meetings, a lot of meetings actually. My classic meeting that I liked was, Councillor Stoon was with me, the Craft Cannabis meeting. They put on a evening meeting. So I had the opportunity to talk to one of the men that have 4 resale shops in Vancouver Island, and so I asked them a lot of questions on what it's like to have these and what kind of building structure they have to have, and the air conditioning and the air exchange system. So he went and explained the whole thing. He said, I'm just telling you, if you're going to do it in your community, you have to go high grade, not low grade. And so I got some books and pamphlets of what he meant by high grade. That means quality. Is because I'm going to tell you, within a year, a lot of the startups are going to be gone. And it was very interesting how he explained what we as a town should do as far as putting our bylaws in place, and how many places, and how we go about making sure that the people that put in the facilities, their resale facilities, do a really nice quality job in our community. And I want to thank Jessica for all the work you did for us, getting the UBCM ready for us.
Sorry,
Everything.
that was Donna.
Oh, that was Donna?
Credit for that. No,
Okay.
I was working on the election things in person with Jim, so
Well,
Donna
anyway,
took over that.
Donna did a wonderful job. Everything was well organized. Our rooms were very nice, thank you. I know it cost the district some money, but it was well worth it, I think, for all of us to attend. And I just want to thank you guys for doing it for us. Another thing, we had the final meeting of recycling. We met at Donna Bellingham's home Saturday ago, I think it was, yeah. And we got some information regarding next year's cycling for Cure for Cancer cycling. Will cost, instead of $2,500, it's $3,200 next year. So it's quite a bit up from this year. I don't know why they did that, but that's what we are hearing. It's going to be $3,200. But anyway, we all enjoyed it. We had a real nice meeting at Donna. That's all I have to report for now.
Thank you very much. Councillor Crowe.
Thank you, you guys have really reported on everything, but that's great, it's nice to hear, and I'd just like to comment briefly that when in past years when I went to UBCM, I went also on the Pemberton tour, and wow, how fantastic. All the farms are just so down to earth in terms of they have all their stuff is homemade, they have on-site kitchens, and they sell stuff to local restaurants, and you know, everybody's eating very well, and they give a lot to the homeless people and to the shelters, and I mean, they're fantastic. They really know what they're doing there, and they're great role models. So I just wanted to comment that, you know, and they really feed you well when you go visit. Just congratulations to the Lions Club, 75 years of volunteerism in our community. Wow, that's fantastic. That's really something, and every person, every hand made a big difference in our community up to this date. Brings us, you know, one local club that helps us to be a better community. So a big thank you. I took my husband to a water date. I took him up to Nestle's and let him get the tour. I sat outside with our dog who was misbehaving. So, luckily I've been on the tour before. Met their new president and their coordinating lady. Very nice people from Ontario. They love Hope. They just fell absolutely in love with Hope. And met some of their staff, their outside staff, as I was walking my bad girl. And people are just really happy to be there and working, and it's nice to see such a good team up there, so hats off to them. Brigade Day is 50 years, wow. Over the years I've also enjoyed participating and volunteering, but the 50-year parade had to have beat all. I have a lot of pictures on my camera, and it was fantastic. And thank you to everyone, to the judging of the floats, and to every staff member that helped putting out barricades, and to all the clubs that put all the things you don't really think about when you're out there enjoying everything. It's a lot of work, and you guys did a great job. Community Gardens, that was a wonderful event to see the pride and the collaboration for everybody that participated in that wonderful greenhouse, and all the different food that they're growing. Oh my goodness, it's like a smorgasbord in there. It's fantastic. I didn't even know what a fig tree looked like, but yeah, Bob and Faye Burrell, they'll be well remembered, and they're fig tree by fig tree, side by side, and they were planted in memory of them, and it's really, really nice. It's a great opportunity. I think the best part was the children. There was about maybe, I don't know, 70 kids that were all under 3 feet tall, and they were all lined up around the greenhouse looking in. I don't know if they were looking at the cake or if they were looking at the vegetables, but they were certainly excited, and they all took part in that. So it was really a super collaborative effort between the group and the school board and everyone that volunteered. So again, making our community wonderful. The Silver Creek Playground, I just want to briefly comment on that's another exciting addition to our community. Silver Creek has often been almost its own entity in a way, because everybody, when you say, where do you live, you say Hope. Well, I think Silver Creek is part of Hope, but when people talk to me from Silver Creek, they say, yeah, well, we live in Silver Creek, and you know, you have to walk way out there to get to us. And so I just want to say that it's about time you guys got something special, and you certainly did. And a big congratulations to Councillor Dybel on your endeavors. Huge benefit for the District of Hope. Lots of hard work, I'm sure, went into that, hours and hours of consultation and thought, and that's also going to be a benefit to our community. So just a hats off to all of us that are running, and to you and your new journey. Jerry, it's been a pleasure. So thanks. That's it.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Erickson?
One thing I forgot to mention. I also went on the agricultural tour, but one thing I just want to let the public know. We met a young couple on the agricultural tour. They bought 10 acres in the valley. They have an $800,000 mortgage, and they have a little baby, 15 months old. I think they're about 30 years old and under, right? A young couple. And we met them in gumboots and came up with the gumboots, and their garden is producing enough money on about 3 or 4 acres to pay for the mortgage, and help them live. So you can see that when
And
you
they
work.
shut down for the winter too, so.
That's right, that's right. They shut down for the winter, so you can see they work really hard. They have 2 full-time employees, but their garden is spectacular.
34 types of vegetables.
Yeah, 34 types. Anyway, it was really amazing. And just for a little quiz, guess what was the most productive monetary-wise? What vegetable was the most productive monetary-wise for them? Where they can make the most money?
Zucchini.
Zucchini.
Tomatoes.
Everybody says tomatoes, he says.
Everybody says tomatoes. It's kale and parsley. Kale and parsley is something they make the most money on. The least amount of work, and you plant it, and it's very cheap to get up. So I just thought, we have lots of land in Hope, lots of garden space in Hope. We could really produce a lot of food, but these people work hard. I mean, they really work hard. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up.
That's a valid point, thank you. Okay, and moving along here to item 10, permits and bylaws. Item 10A, District of Hope Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 1434-2018 at 755 Old Hope Renson Way, the MQSH Society.
I'm gonna step out for this, just
Okay.
to make sure of my relationship.
Okay, fellow housing person. Okay, and I guess a hats off to the MQHS group. I think the consultation with the community paid off, and obviously a very smooth public hearing, and a comfort level from council that appears to be very high, so much appreciated. So the recommended motion is that District of Hope Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 1434-2018 be given third reading in order to redesignate the property legally described as 755 Old Hope Renson Way from highway commercial to urban suburban residential. Do we have a motion to that effect? Councillor Stewart so moves, and then Councillor Erickson. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. And the second motion pertaining to the same matter is that District of Hope Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1435-2018 be given third reading in order to amend section 10.5 multifamily residential RM1 zone, subsection 10.5.5, table 19, to include a new column for apartment or senior housing and other multiple building structures combined and the rezoning of the property legally described at 755 Old Hope Renson Way from highway commercial C2 to multifamily residential RM1. Motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Councillor Crop, Councillor Smith. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you. And then we have Councillor Dival coming back in here. And item C, District of Hope Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1436-2018 at 4th Street and 5th Avenue, properties of Kelton Contracting. Recommended motion that District of Hope Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1436-2018 be adopted in order to increase the maximum site coverage permitted in the commercial transition C5 zone for a one-family residence from 35% density to 45% density.
Second.
Okay, Councillor Erickson moving, Councillor Dival seconding. Questions or comments pertaining to the motion? All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you. Item D, report from Mr. Gill.
I'm gonna step out for this as my personal relationship with the contractor on this one,
Okay,
on Rescom.
Rescom.
She's an employee of mine.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Have a safe trip home.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Okay, item D, application to rezone the property at 442 Hemlock Avenue regarding proponent being Rescom Limited. The District of Hope Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1437-2018 be given first and second readings in order to rezone the property legally described as 442 Hemlock Avenue from single-family residential RS1 to single-family residential with secondary dwelling RS1S, and further that the residents and public be notified of the public hearing in accordance with the District of Hope application procedures and public hearing information meeting procedure bylaw number 1393, Local Government Act and Community Charter. A motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Contrary. Motion carried. Item E. Another report from our Director of Community Development. Mr. Gill has been a busy man. Application to rezone the property at 63870 Flood Hope Road. Proponents being Stu and Foster. That District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw 1438-2018 be given first and second readings in order to rezone the approximate northern 0.26 of a hectare portion of the property legally described as 63870 Flood Hope Road from local commercial C1 to entirely highway commercial C2, and further that the public be notified in accordance with the District of Hope application procedures and public hearing information meeting procedural bylaw 1393, the Local Government Act and Community Charter. Motion to that effect, please. Councillor Medlock, Councillor Erickson. Questions or comments? All those comment? Councillor Erickson?
So is that just to clean up the area for, so it'll be all C2?
Your worship, through you, that is correct. C1 zone doesn't allow for mini storage, and they want to expand their operation, and they can only expand one way, north, and that's zoned in C1, so that needs to be changed.
That's where the,
Thank you.
Okay.
that's where the cold storage part of it, of the property is right now, that I'm assuming.
That's correct,
Yeah.
and that's the only type of storage that's allowed in the C1 zone.
Okay, sounds good. Motion's on the table. All those in favor? Thanks so much. Item F, report from our Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Bellingham, pertaining to fees and charges amendment bylaw number 1439-2018. Mr. Fordowski, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, Your Worship, this is a housekeeping cleanup of the fees and charges bylaw. You have read some of the details, for example, in Schedule E, the RCMP fees. It was set at $5, but there was a typing error,
$50.
and it was supposed to be 50 cents. Items like that, so they are listed in the report in detail. There are only 2 changes as a result of this housekeeping report. So one is the RCMP and the other is cemetery fees.
Okay, recommended motion is that fees and charges amendment bylaw 1439-2018 be read a first, second, and third time this 24th day of September. Councillor Erickson moving, Councillor Dival seconding.
Question,
Question for Councillor Croft.
thanks. So for the columbarium, in red, the prices that are changing, like, are both the resident and non-resident changing?
That's for this.
For
For the,
columbarium,
that's for the new columbarium, right?
yes, Your Worship, that's for the new columbarium. The prices will not change for the old columbarium. The new columbarium has to maintain itself moving forward, but also demand is higher as well, so it's a balance. We're not out to make a profit, but we want to make sure we cover costs.
Okay, fair enough.
And those costs are for life.
For life, exactly. That was a good one. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I asked a question to staff, is it a 20-year, a 30-year, or 40-year use of the columbarium, but it is in perpetuity, I guess. Better start planning here. At 47, I'm over half done.
Never know.
You never know. Or sooner.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows? Okay, so we got that. We have that one passed? Yes, we did. Okay. Okay, item G, report from our Director of Community Development regarding a development variance permit at 62890 Flood Hope Road for Kerr Properties. Recommendation is that council approve the preparation of a DVP to vary the maximum interior height requirement of a mini storage facility from 3.5 meters to 5.5 meters, and also vary the maximum unit area of a mini storage facility from 28 meters to 82 square meters for the property legally described at 62890 Flood Hope Road to enable the owner to proceed with the construction of RV and boat storage buildings. Further, that for purposes of Section 504 Local Government Act, substantial start shall mean the placement of a foundation for any of the contemplated structures. A motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Councillor Dival moving, Councillor Harrison seconding. Questions or comments pertaining to the motion? Okay. Question on the motion, all those in favor? Thank you. Item H, DVP 466047 Ogleview Drive, proponent being Mr. Alberts. That council approve a DVP for the future parcels to be created through subdivision and current legally described at 66047 Ogleview Drive in order to relax the minimum lot depth from 30 meters to 14.96 meters for both contemplated lots 2 and 3. And then to relax the front lot setback from 7.5 meters to 1.5 meters for both contemplated lots 2 and 3. And a final one, to relax the rear lot setback from 4.5 meters to 1.5 meters for both contemplated lots 2 and 3. And further that, the additional setback of 7.5 meters shall be required from the panhandle access strip for both contemplated lots 2 and 3. And further that, the additional setback of 4.5 meters shall be required for the easterlymost boundary for the contemplated lots 2 and 3. And further that, for the purposes of Section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantial start shall mean the approval of a subdivision plan by the approving officer. Motion to that effect, and any questions to Mr. Gill?
Second.
Councillor Crop moving, Councillor Davis seconding. Questions of council through to Mr. Gill? Looks pretty basic.
There was
Councillor
only
Crop?
one. Is there lots of access around the whole development for, like, say, for fire trucks and stuff like that?
Your worship, through you, where the lots are located, there's a cul-de-sac bulb,
Okay,
and so there would be access to the front of the properties. The lot that's going to be the most furthest away would probably be at some sort of risk. However, it depends on how the firefighting crews fight that fire and what type it is.
Okay. Motion is on the table. All those in favor? Contrary. Motion carries. Thank you. Item I, geotechnical hazards development permit at 21293 Thacker Mountain Road. Nicholas and Schmidt being the proponents. Recommended motion, I'll read it out, that a District of Hope geotechnical hazards development permit be prepared for the property legally described as 21293 Thacker Mountain Road for the construction of a single-family dwelling. And further that, upon the District of Hope receiving an acceptable certified report from qualified professional confirming a site-specific safe building envelope for the property at 21293 Thacker Mountain Road, authorize the Director of Community Development to endorse the geotechnical hazards development permit and the required covenant document. And further that, for the purposes of geotechnical hazard development permit validity period and conditions, the conditions of the development permit shall expire on September 24th of 2020. And further that, for the purposes of any associated building permit, the substantial start of construction shall mean the completion of the foundation of the proposed single-family dwelling as certified safe by a qualified professional. So motion to that effect. Councillor Erickson moving.
Second.
Councillor Smith seconding. And Councillor Stewart asking the question. Yes.
Through you too. I'm just wondering, is there any risk to the district when you build a house that's close to the river or something does go weird?
Your worship, through you, this process with the development permit does require a geotechnical hazards engineer. The geoscientist will confirm what the safe building site is. It's his professional assurance on the line. Typically, the district will get a safe harmless covenant put in place, saving us from any sort of issues or concerns that may arise from, let's say, a geotechnical event.
Okay. Sounds very good. Motion's on the table. All those in favor? Contrary. Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Item 11, correspondence. Motion to receive the correspondence.
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Crop moving. Do you have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Dial seconding. All those in favor? Contrary. Motion carries. Now, item 12A, to put this issue in perspective, we have an issue where the solid waste contract will be expiring at the end of the year. There's going to be some changes for the regional, within the region for organics bans. So solid waste removal will take a different form in the future. and the region has not yet come through with all the nuts and bolts of how this is going to play out for the region. So what the prudent thing for us to do is to issue a short extension for first class, so that when we RFP this, which council is very keen on doing, when we RFP the contract, that we can get the best deal for the taxpayer. Once the organic span information is fully understood, recognized, then an RFP process will allow for contractors to bid on actually exactly what is expected, as opposed to hitting an unknown moving target. So obviously, if they have a very precise target of what is required to incorporate the organic span, that will reflect in lower cost to the district. So in the interim, what council has done is to suggest to our, or order our administrator to negotiate a contract extension with First Class and the operation of the transfer station, and that a 6-month termination clause would be included within that contract, so that if either party should wish to terminate the contract, that would be the option of either First Class or the district. So that would allow us to, in a very timely fashion, RFP the contract when the organic span is in place, and also be fair to First Class as well. So that was under the Rising Report section. So I guess we, it's been officially okayed by council.
Yes.
So just to report out as to what the status of this issue is, because a couple of folks have talked to me about it, and until it's officially declassified, it's not appropriate to speak on it. But now we can officially talk about it. So question period is the next one. Friendly, unfriendly, and different questions from the audience? Lots of smiling faces there. I don't know. Okay, the next meeting will be October the 9th. That'll be a Tuesday. Now, my question to council, and that is our MLA Jackie Taggart has offered to come and speak to council about proportional representation at a council meeting. Now, I don't know if it's a good chance that October 9th would be too short a notice, but she has a lot of information pertaining to proportional representation, and arguably it's not a good thing for small communities in our region. So, I mean, that's obviously up for debate, but it's worth getting information on. Would I have council's permission to work with John to bring her in if she's available?
So will it be a public?
Oh, yeah, yeah, there's no secrets here. So, I mean, what we could do is we could have, if she is amenable to coming, if it fits her schedule, we could maybe have her at a committee of the whole meeting before council, and then everyone's welcome to participate in listening. I think also this is probably, if she is amenable to doing that, it would be worth it for us to maybe get staff to notify all candidates that are running in the election, because whoever gets elected will have to you know, be knowledgeable on this subject, so it would make sense to have everyone in the same room. So, just an idea. Okay.
Do we have, yeah, just a question. Do we have a policy about that sort of thing, where we have a, you know, politician come in to speak their say at a council meeting?
No.
Well, I think it's, she offered, she is our provincial representative. She's going to pass on facts, and we can certainly question her presentation. We don't have to agree with her
I feel like we've
presentation.
denied people in the past for some reason, just saying it wasn't the right venue for it, or whatever.
Like
I don't
who did we
I
deny?
don't remember, it's sticking in my mind right now.
Your worship, the policy can be accepted by council for the reasons you stipulate. And that's your choice. And if council so wishes, then we'll sort out the details and get back to you. But if Councilor Medlock's point is well taken,
I'm just asking, is there a policy?
there is a policy for
Well, there is.
delegations, and it's normally, 15
Right.
minutes
Delegations.
and small, and then questions. And normally council doesn't consider the ask that, because most delegations are there for an ask. You can, of course, make an exception in this case, or in any case you so decide, but you use the policy as a guideline.
Yeah. Well, I would see, my perspective is I would see it as free information that she's willing to provide to us if she's available that night. And we don't have to agree with it. Obviously, that on the 9th, it'll be the tail end of this current council, and obviously if the majority of us get reelected, or if there's a new group of people here, you know, it's still good information to have for everyone. Councillor Crop and Councillor Dowell.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't have any issue with it. If any politician that's elected that wants to come and give us some free information and their time, I'm open to that. It doesn't matter if it's Corrigan or who it is. If they wanted to come and offer to their constituents some free information and time, I don't see that that should be an issue. I'm happy with that. I like to learn something about the process at least.
Thank you. Councillor Dowell?
My understanding as well is that, you know, she's having an open house, a meet and greet out at Down Street on Thursday night, and there will be somebody there with information about proportional representation as well. So, I mean, public is certainly welcome to go out there and gather information as well. But I agree, I mean, if we can have her come, and then it's not, she's not politicking, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just thought, I just remembered an instance in the past, I can't remember what it was, but I'm all for information for sure.
Yeah. I think if it's just a factual presentation of this is how the new system is supposed to work. I think information flow on this topic has been dismally slow. And if indeed it's, you know, it will change how British Columbia is governed, so it kind of makes sense to get more information on it. Anyways.
We'll sort the detail out.
Thank you very much, appreciate that. And so the next meeting will be Tuesday, October the 9th, 7 p.m. And motion to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, tough sell, Councillor Crop and Councillor Medlock.